Okay, here's a quickie, another screencast about creating an 8 by 10 ad. An ad means an advertisement, so it would be something that would go in a magazine. It might be a flyer, but usually it's something that gets inserted into a magazine or a printed publication when it's called an ad, as opposed to a web ad, which is a digital advertisement that would have a different screen resolution. So these are going to be 8 inches by 10 inches at 300 pixels per inch. You start it with a blank Photoshop document that's that size. So 8 inches wide, 10 inches tall. It's a standard photographic size. If you wanted to see, it is 8 by 10 at 300. So you just start with a blank document. I'm just going to take apart the ad that I've already got going on. And I have a white background that I've kept. I made the background say white, if you look at my layer panel. And I've inserted a smart object, an image of some kids for my project that was kids playing in the symphony or practicing playing cello. And you can design it however you want. I don't want you to necessarily, copy any of my design, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time redesigning it so that, for different options. So there's your photograph. If I check on it, it should be at least, 8 inches wide by 10 inches tall. In this case, I think if I open up my smart object by double clicking on it, it is, it's 7 inches tall, but it is larger than 8 inches wide, which is why I have chosen to just put it up in the top section, which I just think looks okay. Then I'm going to add some type for my advertisement. So you're going to talk about the event. And I've already created the type, as you can see on my layer panel. I've used the font that I'm using throughout the project, which in my case is this odd little font called Square Meal. And I have, I've made a little link down here just to make it look real. And all I'm missing now is my logo. But once I also have made sure that my text is all properly spelled and correctly styled, right? The hierarchy of the type is nice. Now I click on my type layer and I go up to type, and up here you go to rasterize type layer, and that makes it no longer live type. And you want to do that even with this link, which we're not going to make an actual live link. We're just going to, it's just, at this point, it's just a message. Same thing. Rasterized type layer. So these no longer have a T, if you notice. And now we're going to place or open up and copy and paste our logo right into our layout here. Now this is the only part of the project where all the type and the logos are built in Photoshop. You don't do this on the cover. The cover should just be the artwork, and then the logos and the type and when anything else gets placed on top of it in InDesign. In other words, think of that cover art as background art, and logos and everything get added after it's placed into InDesign, and they just get placed or typed in InDesign. Okay, very important. So this page is different because we're building the whole thing as one big Photoshop document. Now, if I want to get my logo in here, I could just open up the file. Even though it's an Illustrator document, you can go to Command-O, and I'm going to just find my logo. I've got a bunch of different ones at this point because I've been redoing it a little bit. Now it's in my links panel, but you would have it somewhere on your, in your organization. So there is my original logo, Kids Play Logo AI. I've also made it into a bitmap TIFF for the InDesign pages that it needs to be on, and that's just a different logo of the sponsor. So I'm going to open the AI file, and I can do that by just going to Open, and this import, it turns into a PDF, and I'm just going to tell you to just keep it here. Don't make sure this resolution is at least 300. You could even put it up higher, I think. It won't change the size, but because it's a vector, it'll be really high res. So remember that, and don't worry about this stuff as much. It's kind of confusing, but it's fine. and you're going to open it up. And there is the AI logo, but now it's in Photoshop, and all I'm doing is I'm going to select the whole thing, Command A, I'm copying it, Command C, I'm going over to back to my Photoshop document of the ad, and I'm pasting it, Command V. And it does, it comes in really huge because I made it 1200. So you really probably don't need to do that, you could keep it at 300. But even so, if you go to Command T, it will give you the bounding box of the logo, even though it's giant. You just have to scroll out, like zoom out of your thing so you can see the whole box. Remember, in Photoshop, you don't hold the Shift key, you just bring it down diagonally. And as it gets closer, you can see I'm just creating a size here. I know I want it kind of right over the Eventbrite, the line there, and you want to make sure not to, I think I just tilted mine slightly, but when you like what you've got, you can hit the return key. It becomes just a regular layer here. I'm going to immediately change that to logo so I know what that is, and if I wanted to, I could really, I could use guides and stuff to make sure it's perfectly centered. At this point, it actually is centering on the type. See those pink lines? Weirdly, my computer is acting really odd these days, and when I get it right, it moves, which is driving me crazy. But that's close enough. You want to make sure that you organize your file. So I'm going to make the type and logos one big group. And I'm going to make it a group from layers, and I'm going to call it type and logo. And then we've got, I put my background, that's another group, okay? So now you would save it. So I'm going to save it. And then, and this is really easy, we're going to make a black and white or a grayscale version of this. So all you have to do is, the easiest way for me to tell you is you go to Image to Duplicate. And you're going to say OK. And if you look on your, I'm going to turn everything else off. Sorry, these are old files. If you look on your tabs, you've got the same file. There's just a copy, and then there's the advertisement. So on the copy, all you do is you go up to Image, to Mode, to Grayscale. It's going to ask you, do you want to merge it? For the grayscale, you can merge it. Go right ahead. Just do it. And it turns your black and white copy into a grayscale. It turns your color copy into a grayscale image. And then you're going to save that. And you're going to say black and white. And I just usually say black BW, or whoops, not question mark. Something that you know what it is so that when you place it in InDesign, you're going to know which one it is. Okay? So, there you go. Now let's go quickly to InDesign. Here is your blank page. Master page elements are already on there. I've obviously built out the rest of this. I'm going to go to Command D to place my two different ads. And I have, let's see, I've got the grayscale. This was the one I did before that you've got in your file. The one I just did, oh, where is it? Yeah. Where's the color? We're going to, did I not save the color? Oh, yeah. Anyway, you get the idea. I just had added some extra stuff on that one. So I'm going to place that one. Pretend that it's not the one I actually demoed for you. And actually, the best way to do this is to just click. And it'll come in at 100%, which it needs to. You're going to go to Command D and place the black and white version. And that one is that one. So I know this looks a little different than what we just demoed, but I don't have time to figure it out. So you've got both ads on the page. You want to put a stroke on them, a frame, just a small stroke. Actually, it really only needs to be about 1 or 2 points. And they just fit in, and they should be at 100% so that when somebody looks at these, you can tell they're 8 by 10. I'm also going to put the same black stroke on there. And that's kind of what you have to do. They look a little funny when they're just side by side. So sometimes I put the black and white version underneath. So if I click on the color one and I go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front, I might put a little transformation on them, you know, and to do that, you just kind of scroll, you hover over the corners there. It's not being very obvious on my computer. Click on it, and then just move it a little bit. Click on this one and move that one a little bit. And that's really all you got to do. I'm not worried that it's going over my master page because I think that's fine. And then you're done. And that's what you do with the ads. And that's all there is to it. Okay? I hope that helped. Bye. Talk to you.